There are moments in life when the soul simply grows tired. The weight of wrong choices, accumulated disappointments, and nights without answers, all of it creates a silent distance between the heart and God. It is not a loud rupture. It is a slow, almost imperceptible withdrawal, like a tide that recedes without warning. And suddenly, you find yourself in an arid place, looking up at the sky, no longer knowing how to speak to the one who has always been your refuge. This is not a script about guilt. It is about return. It is about the oldest and most beautiful truth that exists. God never closed the door. You simply forgot it was always open. Through the intercession of Our Lady and the living promise of Psalm 34:18, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. This prayer was made to reach you exactly where you are, tired or hopeful, doubtful or faithful, arriving or returning, because coming back to God requires no perfection. It only requires one step, and that step begins right now. There is a kind of tiredness that sleep cannot fix. Have you ever felt it? That exhaustion that does not come from the body, but from somewhere deep within, a place no doctor can examine and no medicine can reach. It is the weariness of the soul, and it arrives differently for each person. For some, it comes after a loss that changed everything. For others, it comes after years of trying, believing, waiting, and feeling as though heaven remained completely silent. Some arrive at this place after a wrong choice, a decision made at the wrong moment, with the wrong heart, that left marks which seem impossible to heal. Guilt settles in slowly like a fog, and with it comes a low voice, almost a whisper, that says, God wants nothing to do with you anymore. You have gone too far. That voice lies. But when the soul is exhausted, it is hard not to listen, not to. Spiritual distance rarely happens all at once. It is not a conscious decision, not a declared rebellion. It is a silent process. First, prayer grows shorter, then more infrequent. Days pass without a single moment of conversation with God, and you barely notice, because life has been filling those spaces with urgency, with screens, with noise, with everything that seems important, but is, in the end, merely distraction. And then a day comes. It might be an ordinary morning. It might be a sleepless night, when you stop and feel the emptiness, a very specific kind of emptiness, not the loneliness of missing people. It is the loneliness of missing God. It is the feeling that something essential is absent, and you no longer know quite how to find it again. Perhaps you are in that place right now. Perhaps you opened this video without quite knowing why, only with a restlessness in your chest, a vague longing for something that ordinary words cannot name. If that is the case, know that it is not a coincidence. Nothing that leads us back to God ever is. Psalm 34:18 says something that deserves to be read slowly, carefully, with an open heart. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Notice what this verse does not say. It does not say that God is close to those who pray every single day without fail. It does not say He is close to those who never doubted, never drifted, never made mistakes. It says He is close to the brokenhearted, to the crushed in spirit, to those who are in exactly the place where you might find yourself right now. This is not a promise for the strong. It is a promise for those who are on the ground. And there is a profound beauty in that, because God does not need you to arrive before Him in perfect condition. He comes to you in the middle of your imperfection, in the middle of your doubt, in the middle of your silence. He does not wait for you to fix yourself first before deserving His presence. His presence is precisely what restores you. The silence of God, that silence so many of us have felt at some point, is rarely abandonment. It is almost always patient waiting. It is the silence of a father who respects your time, who does not force doors open, who does not invade spaces you have not yet opened to Him, but who is there, just outside, with an outstretched hand, waiting for the moment you look to the side and realize you were never alone. There is a difference between God being absent and you not being able to feel His presence. Absence is real when something disappears, but God does not disappear. What disappears sometimes is our ability to perceive Him, dulled by exhaustion, by pain, by distraction, by the weight of everything we carry, without surrendering to Him. Think of it like a radio that has lost its signal. The broadcast is still being transmitted. The station never went off the air. What happened was interference, and the interference almost always is on our end. Retuning does not require grandeur. It does not require a perfect prayer, an elaborate ritual, or an immediate transformation. It requires only honesty, the willingness to say, even without tears, even without certainty, even without knowing if it will work, Lord, I am here. I am tired. I no longer know how to reach you, but I am trying. That is enough to begin. Because God does not measure the quality of our prayers by the eloquence of our words. He measures them by the sincerity of our hearts, and a heart that arrives broken, exhausted, not knowing what to say, but that still turns toward him, is a heart that has already taken the hardest step, the step of returning. And before you say that you don't deserve to return, that you have gone too far, that you fell too early or too late, listen, returning to the heart of God is not a matter of merit. It never was. Divine mercy does not work like a point system that you accumulate through good deeds and lose through mistakes. Mercy is a decision God made before you even existed, renewed every morning, offered without conditions to every soul that turns back to Him. And in this return, you are not alone. There is a mother who intercedes, a gentle, loving presence who knows the way back better than anyone, because she never left the side of her son, not even in the darkest hours. She was at Calvary when everything seemed lost. She was in the upper room when hope needed to be renewed. And she is here now, walking beside you in this return. Our Lady will not judge you for the time you spent away. She will receive you the way every mother receives a child who comes home, with open arms and a heart overflowing with love. But that we will speak of in the next chapter. For now, if you can, close your eyes for a moment, breathe deeply, and let this truth land gently in your heart. You are not too far. You never were. God is near. He has always been near. And today He is calling you back, not with accusation, not with judgment, but with love. With a love that does not age, does not tire, and does not give up. You are welcome back. There are hands that hold without gripping, hands that guide without forcing, hands that are simply there, steady, warm, and patient, waiting for you to reach out and take them. If you have ever been lost and found your way back through something quiet and unexplainable, through a feeling more than a sign, through a softness that seemed to come from nowhere and yet felt deeply familiar, you may have already felt the presence of Our Lady without knowing her name for it. Mary is not a distant figure frozen in stone and stained glass. She is not a religious formality or a prayer recited out of habit. She is a mother, and mothers do not abandon their children, not when they are struggling, not when they are lost, not when they have made mistakes too painful to speak aloud. She knows what it means to carry something beyond her strength. She knows what it means to stand in the middle of a situation that makes no sense and still choose to trust. When the angel came to her with a message that defied everything she understood about the world, she did not ask for guarantees. She did not demand proof. She simply said, "Let it be done to me according to your word." That was not the response of someone who had no fear. That was the response of someone who chose faith over fear, and in doing so, changed the entire course of human history. This is the woman who intercedes for you, not a distant saint, not a theological concept, a mother who said yes when the weight of the world was placed on her shoulders, who stood at the foot of the cross when the unthinkable happened and who did not run. She stayed, she wept, she endured, and on the other side of that darkness, she was there when the stone was rolled away and everything that had seemed dead came back to life. If she could stand at Calvary, she can stand beside you in whatever you are facing right now. There is a reason why so many people, across so many centuries, across so many different cultures and languages and circumstances, have turned to Mary in their darkest moments. It is not tradition alone. It is not mere religious custom. It is because something in the human soul recognizes, almost instinctively, that she understands, that she has been in the dark, that she has held grief in her arms and still believed in the morning, and she brings that same belief to you. When you do not know how to pray, she prays for you. When your words run out and all you can offer is silence and a heavy heart, she takes that silence and transforms it into intercession. She carries what you cannot carry. She speaks what you cannot yet speak. She stands before God not to replace your relationship with Him, but to walk you gently back toward it, the way a mother walks a frightened child back to a room they were afraid to enter alone. Think about that for a moment. You are not approaching God alone. You never were. Even in the moments when you felt most abandoned, most unworthy, most convinced that the distance between you and heaven was too great to cross, there was a presence beside you, quiet, unimposing, faithful, waiting for you to notice. Our Lady does not shout. She does not demand your attention with thunder or spectacle. She works the way grace always works, gently, persistently, without fanfare, a thought that arrives at the right moment, a peace that settles over you when it has no logical reason to, a pull toward prayer when everything in your circumstances should be pulling you away from it, a warmth in the chest that feels like being held. That is her, and she is not bringing you back to a God of punishment. She is not leading you toward judgment or condemnation. She is leading you to her Son, the same Son she held in her arms in Bethlehem, the same Son she wept for on Golgotha, the same Son who rose and left an empty tomb as the most powerful statement ever made about what God thinks of death, of darkness, of endings. She knows His heart better than anyone who has ever walked this earth, and she knows that His heart, when it comes to you, is not filled with anger. It is filled with longing, the longing of a father who has been watching the road, waiting for the silhouette of a returning child to appear on the horizon. In the parable of the prodigal son, the father does not wait for the son to arrive and make his speech of repentance before deciding whether to forgive him. He sees him while he is still far off. He runs. He does not walk. He runs. He throws his arms around a son who smells of poor choices and broken promises, and before the boy can even finish his rehearsed apology, the celebration has already begun. That is the God Mary is walking you toward. Walking, not a God who keeps score, not a God who rehearses your failures before receiving you, a God who runs, a God who celebrates returns, a God whose mercy is not something you earn. It is something you receive the moment you turn around and begin walking back. And on that walk you have company. You have a mother who has never stopped praying for you, who took every tear you cried in the dark and lifted it as an offering, who knew your name before you knew hers, who has been interceding, quietly, faithfully, persistently, for the day you would open your heart again and let yourself be found. That day is today, this moment, right now, wherever you are, whatever you are carrying, however long it has been, is the moment she has been interceding for. Not a perfect moment, not a prepared moment, just a real one, a moment of honest openness, of quiet surrender, of a soul that is tired of carrying alone and is finally willing to be held. Let her take your hand, not because you have earned the right to it, not because you have done enough, prayed enough, or suffered enough to deserve her intercession, but simply because she is your mother and you are her child, and that is enough. That has always been enough. Close your eyes again if you can, and in the quiet of this moment, speak to her, not with elaborate words, but with the simplest truth your heart holds right now. Tell her where you are. Tell her what hurts. Tell her what you are afraid of. Tell her you want to find your way back. She is already listening. She has always been listening. And in her hands, those gentle, faithful, unwavering hands, she holds the path that leads you back to the heart of the one who created you, who knows every version of you that has ever existed, and who loves every single one of them without condition or reservation. The path is open, the door is waiting, and you will not walk through it alone. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Read that again, slowly, not as a verse you have heard before, not as a line printed in the margin of a Bible that sits on a shelf collecting dust. Read it as if it were written this morning, as if someone who knows everything about you, every mistake, every doubt, every night you cried without knowing exactly why, sat down and wrote those words specifically for you, because in a way, that is exactly what happened. The Psalms were not written by people who had everything figured out. They were written by men in the wilderness, men running from enemies, from consequences, from themselves, men who had failed publicly and grieved privately, men who looked at the sky and shouted at God because silence felt unbearable, men who were, in every honest sense of the word, broken. And yet, in the middle of all that brokenness, they discovered something that changed them forever. Not that God fixed everything immediately, not that the pain disappeared overnight, but that God was there, present, close, not watching from a comfortable distance, arms crossed, waiting to see if they would pull themselves together, but near, intimately, undeniably near. That is the promise you are holding right now. And promises from God do not have expiration dates. There is something important that needs to be said here, something that religion sometimes forgets to say, and that the human heart desperately needs to hear. Being close to God does not require you to be whole first. The verse does not say the Lord will be close to the brokenhearted once they have healed. It says he is close to them now, in the breaking, in the middle of the fracture, not after it has been repaired. This is where so many people get stuck. They believe, quietly, almost unconsciously, and that they need to be better before they can come back, that they need to resolve something first, forgive someone first, stop struggling with something first, become a cleaner, quieter, more presentable version of themselves before they are fit to stand before God again. But that is not how this works. God is not waiting for the polished version of you. He is here for the real one, the one sitting with this right now, the one who is tired, the one who is not sure what to believe anymore, the one who has not prayed in weeks or months or years, and who feels a strange mixture of longing and shame at the thought of starting again. That person, that exact person, is who Psalm 34:18 was written for. You do not need to explain yourself to God before he welcomes you. He already knows. He has always known. Every chapter of your story that you are afraid to read aloud, he has already read it. And his response is not distance. It is not disappointment. It is nearness. It is the radical, relentless nearness of a God who chose to enter human suffering, not from the outside, but from the inside, who was born in a stable, who wept at a tomb, who cried out in anguish from a cross, so that there would never again be a human experience so dark that he could not say, I have been here too, and I am here with you now. That is the God who welcomes you back today, not a God of marble and distance, a God of flesh and presence, a God who knows what it feels like to be betrayed by someone you loved, who knows what it feels like to be misunderstood, to be exhausted, to carry something so heavy that the weight brings you to your knees. Who knows, and because he lived it, because he chose to live it for you. And now, on this side of that story, he stands with arms open, not arms crossed, not arms folded in judgment, arms open, the posture of welcome, the posture of a father who has been watching the road. This is the moment of surrender, not surrender as defeat, not the surrender of someone who has given up on life and on themselves, but surrender as relief, the surrender of someone who has been carrying a weight that was never theirs to carry alone, and who is finally, gratefully, setting it down. Surrender sounds like this: Lord, I am here. I do not have perfect words, and I do not come with a clean record. I come exactly as I am, with everything I have done, and everything that has been done to me, with my doubts and my wounds and my weariness. I come because something in me still believes that you are real, that you are good, that your love for me did not expire while I was away. I come because I am tired of being far from you. I do not fully understand your mercy, but I am choosing to receive it. I do not fully understand your love, but I am choosing to trust it. I am not asking you to pretend that I did not drift. I am asking you to meet me where I am and walk with me back to where I belong. Thank you for never leaving. Thank you for the quiet ways you kept calling me back, through a song, through a stranger's kindness, through a restlessness in my chest that never quite let me forget you. Thank you for this moment, for this breath, for the fact that I am still here and still capable of turning back to you. I turn back to you now, completely, with everything I am. Let your presence fill what has been empty. Let your peace settle where there has been chaos. Let your love reach the parts of me I have been too ashamed to show anyone, and let it heal what I could never heal on my own. I am yours. I have always been yours, and I am finally coming home. Take a breath. Feel the weight of those words, not as a performance but as a truth that your heart has perhaps been waiting to speak for a very long time. There is no formula required after this, no checklist to complete, no ritual to perform, no standard to immediately meet. What happens after a prayer of honest surrender is not a dramatic transformation that you feel all at once. Sometimes it is simply a quiet shift, a slight lifting, the sense that something has changed in a way you cannot fully explain yet, but that is real nonetheless. Trust that shift, even when it is small, even when the feelings do not immediately follow the faith, because this is where the journey continues, not where it ends. Coming back to God is not a single moment, it is a direction, and once you have chosen that direction, once you have turned your face back toward the light, everything that follows is already different. The same road looks different when you are walking toward something rather than away from it. You have turned around, and on this road, you are not alone. You carry with you the promise of Psalm 34:18, that the Lord is close. You carry the intercession of Our Lady, who has been praying for this moment, and you carry something else, something that perhaps you had forgotten you still had, the capacity to believe, the capacity to hope, the capacity to love and be loved by a God who has never once stopped thinking of you. That capacity never left you. It was only waiting to be remembered. And now, it has been. This is not an ending. It is a beginning. Every soul that returns to God carries within it the seed of something new, something that could not have grown any other way, in any other soil, at any other time. The very experiences that made you feel disqualified are the ones that have prepared you for a depth of faith that comfortable, untested lives rarely produce. Your brokenness is not a liability in the hands of God. It is material. He builds with what others would discard. He restores what others would consider beyond repair. And He does not restore you to what you were before. He restores you to something greater, something wiser, something more compassionate, more rooted, more alive to the miracle of grace precisely because you know what it feels like to live without it. Go gently into this new beginning. Do not demand of yourself an overnight transformation. Do not measure your faith by the intensity of your feelings on any given day. Simply keep turning toward Him. Keep choosing one moment at a time, one prayer at a time, one quiet surrender at a time, to remain close to the one who has promised to remain close to you. Speak to Our Lady in the ordinary moments, in the morning before the noise begins, in the evening when the day settles and the heart grows still. She is not a prayer reserved for crisis. She is a mother meant for every moment. Let her intercession become a natural part of how you move through the world, not as a religious obligation, but as a relationship, warm, real, and alive. And on the days when it is hard, because there will be days when it is hard, return to Psalm 34:18. Let those words be an anchor. Let them remind you that closeness to God is not something you achieve through perfection. It is something He extends through love, a love that has no conditions, no expiration, no limit. You came back today. That matters more than you know. Heaven does not take lightly the moment a soul chooses to return. There is, as Scripture tells us, rejoicing, not a quiet, polite acknowledgement, but rejoicing over you, over this moment, over the step you took today, however small it may have felt from where you were standing. You are seen, you are known, you are loved, not despite where you have been, but including it. Every part of your story, even the chapters you are not proud of, is held in the hands of a God who is endlessly, creatively, faithfully at work, making all things new, including you, especially you. Welcome home. If this prayer touched your heart today, leave a comment below telling us, has God ever welcomed you back in a way you didn't expect? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. And if this message brought you comfort, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that they are never too far from God's love. And subscribe to the channel so you never miss a moment like this one. You are not alone on this journey.